We'll be also trying to understand the hiring process for Zee5 for both freshers and experienced people. Your journey. The very first thing everyone wants to understand is, were you a coder? Because everyone, whenever they listen to the term director data science, they always have that thing in mind कि ये person बचपन से ही coding करता होगा. You must be a nerd in coding. You must be a very intelligent mind. So that's what we wanted to understand. What was your background? How you started your journey and how you landed into analytics?
Sure.
Was that the first exposure to these tools like Excel, SQL,
Yes.
and maybe other
yes.
statistics or machine learning?
Yes.
Process for freshers. If a person is experienced, let's say if I wanted to enter into Zee5, I'm having a experience of close to 5 years now. What sort of preparation or maybe what sort of process I will be required to went through? What tools you think is most important? The person should be really great in those tools. Is SQL is one of them, and if it is, then what? Hello everyone. So today we have Vatsal Maheshwari with us. Currently he is Director Data Science for Zee5, and today in this particular discussion we'll be trying to understand about his journey. We'll be also trying to understand the hiring process for Zee5 for both freshers and experienced people. Also what amazing project he has done in his career, together with what all problems he's solving in Zee5. So let's get started with this discussion, and please listen to this full podcast because we are going to talk about so many amazing things. Plus, we'll be also understanding the hiring process and everything which you need to understand before applying for Zee5 or maybe before applying for any other company who is working in the same sector. So let's get started. Hello Vatsal, thanks for giving us your time and finding out your time in the Saturday afternoon. So thanks for joining us.
And thanks for having me.
Okay, Vatsal, my first question to you is regarding your journey. The very first thing everyone wants to understand is, were you a coder? Because everyone, whenever they listen to the term director data science, they always have that thing in mind कि ये person बचपन से ही coding करता होगा. You must be a nerd in coding. You must be a very intelligent mind. So that's what we wanted to understand. What was your background? How you started your journey and how you landed into analytics?
Sure. My journey, my schooling was from very varied places. And I did not have any coding background during my schooling. And the school that I was in 12th, that was my 9th school. So I've changed quite a few schools. And कभी मेरा ऐसा कोई computer science वगैरह का, I did not have any subject related to that as well. Moving on, I did my engineering from BITS Pilani, Goa campus, and there also I did not have a lot of exposure to coding. In fact, I was averse to coding. I was always afraid of coding and I did not fully understand it. जो mandatory C++ courses होते हैं वो सब थे, but I was not really interested in it. It was post my job, once during my pre-placement year, that is when I realized that there's this company called Musicma which was gaining a lot of traction, and there was a new buzz term in the market called analytics, and I decided that this sounds interesting. And luckily my internship was also with a think tank called National Council of Applied Economic Research. वहाँ पे I had to do a fair bit of data crunching and everything, and I thought that this is something really cool. So post that I joined Musicma, and this was in the year 2013. And in 2013, post joining Musicma, they had a really good 2 months program in which they taught you coding, and that was my first experience with coding.
Okay.
So वहाँ पे SQL सीखा, R सीखा, Excel थोड़ा सीखा, and general storytelling concepts.
So I want to take you, I want you to go back to your college life again. In your college life, were you involved in any extracurricular activities? Also, first of all, what was your branch?
Okay. Yeah. So my branch was masters. I did my masters in economics and I did my bachelor's in electronics and instrumentation.
So again, something very different from.
It was very different from from the normal engineering life cycle.
Yes,
of
correct.
people.
And again, in your college life, were you also involved in extracurricular activities, or were you just focusing on academics and what
Not
you were
really. So I was balancing both the things, I would say, but I wasn't stellar at academics. I was average, and I was average at co-curriculars as well.
Okay, great. So, when you joined your first company, Musicma, as you mentioned, they had a very great
Yeah.
onboarding process. You learned everything, basics. So, was that the first exposure to these tools like Excel, SQL,
Yes.
and
that
maybe
was-
other
Yes.
statistics or machine learning?
Yes. And this was back in 2013, so it was still early for this field in general. So yes, that was my first experience, and it was a pretty good experience. Yeah.
So, in Mu Sigma, what was your first project that you solved for any client, or maybe
Right.
that you were onboarded in?
Right. So the first project was with an insurance company based out of Australia, and it was based on SAS and SQL. So SAS was something that used to be used a lot, and SAS, SQL, and Tableau. So Tableau was also very new. Tableau, mein, in fact, I was like the second person in Mu Sigma who had
In the
worked on
whole
Tableau.
company.
In the whole company, and there were a lot of people. So वहाँ से मतलब that is where the descriptive analytics phase for me started.
So that was the phase where you created
Yeah.
the base of your analytics, because descriptive
Yes.
analytics is something which everyone ignores, but that is the starting and the base
course.
point for any analytics person would be
Yes.
if you wanted to enter into analytics.
हाँ.
Okay, so how was that experience of working with Mu Sigma?
I think Mu Sigma had one thing that stood out with Mu Sigma had a very fast-paced culture, and they basically they put you under a lot of pressure, and you ultimately had to deliver a lot of things. In 1.5 years, they used to make you team leads and everything. So the process was very fast. There were a lot of projects, there was a lot of work pressure and everything, but I think at the end of the tunnel, you saw yourself as a very transformed person. In terms of as a data scientist, also you saw yourself very much transformed.
So the learning curve is exponential.
Exponential, yes.
Okay, and that actually energized or maybe fueled up your journey in analytics.
Yes, definitely.
So then why, when you switched to the next company, and like what was the thought process that, okay, this is the time I should switch?
Right. So this was back in 2013-14, and there were a lot of ML related things coming up. For example, Andrew Ng's video, the Coursera course of Andrew Ng, that had just recently launched.
Machine learning specialization.
Machine learning specialization was a buzzword. And I really got interested in it. I thought ki yaar, descriptive analytics is fine to build a base, but I was really interested ki yaar, what next? So that's when I joined dunnhumby, and dunnhumby was setting up its research and development center, the science team, and I had the good fortune to join that. So usme back in 2015 we were working on projects related to sentiment. For example, there was this company called Buzz Agents at that time, and what they used to do is they used to partner with brands. Brand used to send them free merchandise. They used to, along with some remuneration, and they used to send this free merchandise to their subscribers, and then collect the feedback from these subscribers through social media, and then transfer the learning back to brand.
The client or maybe the brand.
The brand, yes. Whether their products are working in the market or not. So, ये वाला जो पूरा चीज था, we use data science to identify that on what aspects is the product doing good. Is it good on packaging? Is it good in terms of use? What are the people saying generally about the product? And we used to help them transfer this learning back to the brand.
And you were using sentiment analysis to find out the intent of the comment, or maybe categorize them into one sentiment.
Yes.
इस product के लिए क्या sentiment है?
Sentiment analysis and also topic modeling. So what topic and what sentiment?
Okay, great. What actually dunnhumby do?
Yeah, so dunnhumby is in a very interesting business. So it basically is an analytics firms which consults brick and mortar stores. For example, Tesco UK, Coop Norway, Coop Japan. So these are so every store that has like a physical store उनको कंसल्ट करते हैं, उनके लिए एनालिटिक्स करते हैं. बट इनका बिजनेस मॉडल जो है दैट इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. सो दे गेट द डेटा फ्रॉम रिटेलर्स, दे गिव देम अ फ्री, नॉट अ फ्री बट दे गिव देम अ इनसाइट्स पैकेज on their data, and they use this data and sell it to brands. Generate revenue from there, and also they have a lot of innovation capability that they're building for the retailer on their data, and they pass that as a value added service to the retailer. So broadly this is the business model they operate with.
Okay, then what next you did?
Then I tried to explore, like I wanted to be a consultant.
So always you were
In an exploring phase, yes.
Exploring phase. And that, I think that is the most important thing for a data scientist, to be curious and to keep exploring.
I totally believe that, yes.
Okay,
so I tried to be a consultant. I worked with KPMG for a while, but then I shortly afterwards I realized that this is not my cup of tea. I love the technical side of things more than the consulting side of things.
Consulting is more like you have to sit with clients.
Yes.
And it's more sales, and it's more like manager role, where you are not involving yourself in finding out solution, maybe building or brainstorming, and you are basically happy in doing those things. So KPMG does not work out for you.
Yeah, so at that life stage, not yet. I still wanted to do a lot in the data science field, and a lot of new things were coming up. CNN aa raha tha, convolution neural networks 2012 mein, and it was still getting absorbed in the market, and all these things. So with that thought, I moved to AB InBev. AB InBev is like a...
What does that company do?
Yeah, so it's like one of the largest beer manufacturing companies in the world. It has more than 450 plus beer brands across...
For example?
So for example, Budweiser, you must have heard about Budweiser, Corona, Stella Artois.
Okay, so they are the manufacturers for these brands?
For these brands, yes.
Great.
So... And they were setting up their advanced analytics center here in Bangalore. That is still there. So I joined them as a data scientist.
So
and
do you used to get some coupons or maybe some?
Yes, but I hardly used to avail them. So both are. But yeah, to answer your question, yes, they used to give.
Okay, so then what you did over there?
So there, basically, the project that I had was into lead generation plus some sort of intelligence. So as a beer company, you never have visibility to the end price that the consumer is paying for your products. In a restaurant, let's say, because restaurant do their own pricing between. They buy, let's say, something from you at 100 rupees, they sell it to the consumer for 130, 150, whatever. That is up to their discretion.
For if I go to a restaurant and if I order Pepsi, then a Pepsi in a regular store would cost me around 50 rupees a bottle.
Maybe.
But over there, they will cost me 100 rupees or 120.
Anything that is up to the restaurant. So to get that level of visibility, what we started thinking is what if we could source the menu images for these restaurants, and what if we could find out the price points from that menu. And this thing, for example, in data science is called optical character recognition, OCR, right? So you take images and you try to find different text, and you then try to put that in a structured format. So my project was like one of the things that I built as my innovation. This thing was to find these menu images and to extract these price points and the names of the brands that they were selling.
So
and
what was
sort of cuisine as well.
So what was the end result? Like why you were doing this thing?
Yeah, so this gave us a visibility to sort of price our products better, number one. Number two, understand what the competition is offering. Again, you could, as on an ethical note, like you cannot really have a price war between your competitors, but this was to price ourselves
in a
competitive. Yes, and to understand the elasticity. If I change the price of my offering by 10 rupees, then what is the demand? How will the demand get changed? So this was being used in all these different places.
So for example, if the restaurant is selling your beer for, let's say, 100 rupees, and you are offering them for, let's say, 60 rupees, then making it to 65 or maybe 70 will not affect their revenue or maybe their your relationship with your company. So that's what you were trying to find out. How much possibilities are there to increase up your price so that we can increase our revenue?
Yeah.
That's a very intelligent way to sell something. Okay, and then post that, what you did?
Post that, I joined American Express, based out of Gurgaon, and American Express has this global servicing group. So they have a team of customer representatives who sort of answer the queries of the customer on an ongoing basis. So that could be over a telephone, it could be over an email. Now, telephone conversations, roughly we sort of receive around, used to receive around 300,000 calls on a daily basis.
300,000
calls, 3 lakh calls on a daily basis.
Daily basis, okay.
Yeah. And that translates to about 1 million calls in a not a million, actually more than 10 million calls, right? So itna data, and you had there were a lot of opportunities for fraud. For example, like if a customer representative is handling your call, right, they might misrepresent an offer. They might tell you that, this thing, if you sign up for this thing, you will get so and so rewards, whereas you might not, right? So identifying those things with an algorithm in place was the key capability we were building. We were also trying to identify the severity of complaints. If a customer is complaining about something, how severe is that complaint and how quickly that needs to get addressed.
Okay.
So I was working with a lot of text-based models there, yeah.
But the data was voice. So how you work with that?
So we used to have a speech-to-text algorithm. So we used to convert all the the call recordings into text. And then we used to clean that text, sanitize that text, and sort of draw insights from it. So now imagine the complexity in that we having this conversation. There are close to 10,000, 14,000, maybe 20,000 words that I have spoken. It's a very long transcript and it's communication between two people. Somebody saying something, you saying something. Within that text, you're trying to identify the place where that sale happened. And what were the attributes of the sale that was communicated to the customer and whether they were right or not. So, yeah.
So basically the customer, whether let's say in the whole 1 hour of the discussion, the customer has start pitching the offer in the, let's say, 30th minute. So you have to identify the pitching of the offer. And then over that also you have to find the attributes that, okay, the offer is this component is correct or not, maybe 10,000 points. So you have to match that with the actual offer.
Yes.
And then what was the end, success rate of this project?
Yeah, so as far as I remember, because this was a little while back, but we were at a 0.1% sort of a hit rate. So if out of those 300,000 calls on a daily basis, we were sampling, let's say, 1,000 calls, we used to find one infringement. Whereas after this model, once we had this model pipeline and everything, we were able to find close to out of, every 100 calls, we were able to find 15 infringements. That means 150 out of 1,000 infringements. So that was a huge uplift. Yeah.
And that's a huge improvement for a company also, because that's something which a company does not want to do with the customers.
Yeah. From a compliance standpoint, yes.
Yes. Great. So after American Express, you started working for...
And that's when I came to Zee5. And things have been pretty interesting here. We have close to 1 crore people who come to the platform on a daily basis. And we are the team which is, building the recommendation capability for these people. So that means if you go to Zee5, now you will see some sort of recommendations happening to you in some format or other. You go to you consuming a video, you watching something, you'll find recommended titles below it. You'll find some recommendations on the home page. So all that thing is basically being done by the data science team. And of course, added on to that, there's a search functionality. So you click on the search button, you search for something, right? So that the search that needs to happen in real time is something that we are looking into.
Great.
And we have close to 40 lakh searches happening every day, and 1 crore people coming onto the platform, so they see recommendation in some form.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I was talking to you the next today itself, you mentioned that you recently visited IIT Kanpur to hire fresh graduates. So in this particular conversation, we wanted to understand the hiring process for Zee5, and basically if a fresher is trying to get into Zee5, maybe as a data professional, what are the process that the person has to go through, and what are the preparation that the person should have done before placing, or maybe before submitting his or her resume to the hiring manager, maybe the HR?
Okay, sure. So I think I'll address the campus recruitment first. And within campuses, what we do is we have a screener round that goes out even before we go to the campus. That's like a MCQ question that already happens. And by the time we reach campus, we have the results of the MCQ and everything. So after the MCQ process is done, we sort of invite resumes. Let's say if very few people qualified in MCQ, right? What we do is we do an open round and tell them that you send us your resumes. And at least what I look for in people is basically a person should have at least 2 ML projects with some description on it. And post the resume shortlisting, we call them for a group study wherein we take them through the company principles. We do the PPT round, basically the presentation round, and with the presentation we give out a case study. So the objective of the case study is problem solving. Like we give you with a problem and we try to see how you solve it, how you approach the problem. Do you understand the problem? If you understand the problem, do you understand the complexity and the edge cases of the problem? If you are able to do that, are you able to write a code for that problem? So it happens sequentially. So once this problem solving is done, which is round 2 essentially in the hiring process, the third round is your interview process. So we call you for an interview. The first 5-10 minutes we spend on the problem itself. We ask you how you approach the problem, just so that we are clear that you understood the problem correctly. What was your approach? We give you the benefit of doubt there. And post that, we sort of delve into your projects, like what you did on your resume. Again, as you mentioned about curiosity, we try to see if the person is really curious and what sort of level of detail has he went down in his projects. For example, there could be like, how many number of rows did you have in the data set? Once you did the transformation, how many number of columns did you have? What sort of transformations did you do? And why this transformation and why not that transformation? Why this algorithm, why not that algorithm? So these are the types of questions you can expect on your projects.
So you mentioned about the first round as MCQ. What sort of MCQs you guys ask?
So MCQs are related to general concepts of data science. For example, dimensional reduction. What is dimensional reduction? And maybe like we'll give you 4 options and you have to choose the right option.
Okay, so if the person has basic understanding of data science, machine learning, this round is something he or she will be able to clear.
Yes, easily.
In the business case study round, what kind of complexity of the problem you guys offer?
So I can give you one example. For example, when we went to IIT Kanpur, for example, we gave a campaign attribution problem. So you had a set of users. You had a set of campaigns first, which were running, let's say by Zee5.
Marketing campaigns.
The second data set was, let's say, which campaign was clicked by which user at what time. And the third data set was like, which user watched which video for how much duration. And then ultimately you had to tie up the watch duration to every campaign, right? So now it might so happen that a user is missing in that campaign click data, and whereas his record is appearing here, so you don't have to attribute those users. So we expect you to find all those edge cases. A person is clicking on a campaign multiple number of times, which is opening multiple windows and the video is playing there. How do you attribute that to the campaign? So all these complexities we expect you to identify and then say that my solution is able to cater to these 1, 2, 3, 4 of the problems and not to the 5, 6, 7, 8 sort of problems.
So basically you look for how the person is able to logically understand the problem, then find out the approach, the edge cases, and then how many edge cases he or she is able to counterpart with his approach or her approach.
Yes.
That's what the complete answer to this particular problem is.
Yes.
Okay, great. And then next round is interview round, where if the person has done the project, this round is something he or she will be able to clear. And the last one is maybe the offer round.
Yeah, the last one is a HR round, wherein basically you get the offer.
Great.
So this is for the campus recruitment. Again, if there is a fresher who is applying directly to the company, expect the first round, and this is both common for the for freshers and people who have lesser number of years of experience, let's say 2 years, 3 years of experience. So once you apply to the company, you will get a call from the HR. They'll set up a first round of interview. So we do not believe in very lengthy interview processes. So for the first round of interview would be 1 hour session with a lead data scientist kind of a person. They would grill you on topics related to coding, to general machine learning, statistics, whatever they want to ask from a technique. So this is totally technical. They might even ask you to pull up your notebook and code something. So that's how the first level of interview is. Usually it's 1 hour. It can also extend up to 1.5 hours. Till the time the person is assured of your capabilities. The second round is usually with a VP or a director, basically, and they would sort of grill you on, again the same concepts, but they will sort of put in flavors of the problems that we are facing at Zee. For example, if there is a campaign attribution, they'll give you a case study and then ask you how are you going to approach it, what your approach is going to be. So this is slightly lesser technical, but more on how you're thinking about problems, understanding how you communicate, how well are you technically, in the sense like, are you able to think in perspectives of machine learning design, in terms of algorithms? So that's about it. And finally, the fitment at Zee. Like, would you be willing to join Zee? And are you really interested about the problems that we are solving? So the second round is more of motivational communication
Great.
sort of a thing.
Okay, you mentioned about the process for freshers. If a person is experienced, let's say if I wanted to enter into Zee5, I'm having a experience of close to 5 years now. What sort of preparation or maybe what sort of process I will be required to went through?
Right. So in terms of preparation, so you understand that Zee5 receives a lot many people on a daily basis, right? So that means you have to churn enormous amount of data, right? So some of the things that we want you to come prepared with is tools that are able to handle this much amount of data. So it could be SQL-like things, right? Okay, so for example, we use the Google ecosystem here at Zee5. So if you know SQL, you should be able to do things using BigQuery, right? Otherwise, PySpark. Again, deep learning modules, PyTorch. If you're going into core machine learning, then PyTorch, right? Again, the data science in itself is fragmented into 3 pillars in Zee5. One is product analytics, which basically describe the state of the system. How many people are coming onto which homepage, which page, and how many people are flowing from there. So that is the pure play analytics part, product analytics. It tells us about, how the system is operating on a daily basis, the health of the system on a daily basis. The second is the ML engineering, which basically sort of is building capabilities for Zee5. The search capability, the recommendation capability, the general customer lifecycle capabilities. And the third thing is your governance side of things. How are we handling the data of the PII data of people, right? There should be some monitoring, some guidelines. There should be somebody to enforce those guidelines in an organization. So we are very, very particular about the privacy of our users, and that's where the data governance team comes into picture.
Great. One thing you mentioned about SQL and BigQuery. So if a fresher is trying to enter into the data science field, and I'm talking this in general, what tools you think is most important? The person should be really, really great in those tools. Is SQL is one of them? And if it is, then what kind of level you expect from the person?
Okay. So yeah, SQL is definitely one of the important tools because you can, it is very flexible. You can use it at a bunch of places. So SQL is one thing. Then basics of Python. If you are trying to get into a ML role, then we expect you to know either TensorFlow or PyTorch, or you should have some sort of, and also algorithm fluency. Like, this is what this algorithm will do. This is what this algorithm will not do, right? So these are the things that we look for people. But if you're going into a product analytics role, then of course, like if you know SQL and if you know basics of Python, that should suffice.
Okay, great. So that was a great discussion with you, and I hope you guys would have understood the clear process of how hiring happens for with Z5. Also, we also understood the journey of Vatsal and what all problems he solved during his journey. So before concluding this talk, I want some mantras or maybe some final words from you so that everyone can listen to you and can get a feedback regarding how to be successful in this data science journey.
Right. So I think the three skills that are very, very important for people in every life stage within data science. One is be curious, question everything, try to understand why something is working the way it is. Okay. So be curious is pretty, I think we both are aligned on that. Then innovation. Try to think of new ways in which you can address a problem. Try to think outside the box. Data science is also about creativity, right? There is so many things to be done. There is no set process of doing things. The third thing is basically the courage. So whenever you're building something new, you sort of saying that, this is something better. This, you change from existing solution to this solution. Nobody likes change. If I ask you to, let's say, code things differently, you wouldn't like it. You would be resistant at first because you're not sure. So be courageous. Courage basically means that you should persist the other person to do something in a better way. That is courage. Influence people. So I think these are the three things, in my opinion.
Means we should be number one. What you mentioned?
Curious,
innovate, and
be courageous. Yeah.
Great. So I hope you guys would have understood that just learning SQL, Python, Excel, Tableau is not going to help you. You have to also develop these three qualities in order to make sure that you are able to succeed in this journey of data science. And data science is all about exploration. Keep exploring, have to keep on learning. So there was a time when the data was less. You do not require to have so many tools, but now the data is expanding exponential rate. So you have to work on technologies which can handle this much amount of data. So you have to keep on exploring, keep on learning, keep on utilizing new skill, open to the change. And that's what I think you will also agree, the mantra to get successful in this journey. Okay, that was all about this particular discussion. I hope you guys would have enjoyed this discussion. I hope you were able to gain something new. And if you have any questions related to this talk or maybe in general, please do post those comments in the comment section and we will be very much happy to answer all your queries. If you want to connect to us, we both are available over LinkedIn, so you can connect to us over LinkedIn and keep watching these sessions, these podcasts. We'll be coming up with more such personalities which will help you to guide your successful journey in this data science field, and we'll be coming with more such videos. So good luck and see you soon in the next session. Till then, keep learning. Bye bye.
Bye.